All right, we know that Sho loves his ruse, and he also loves to pummel the poop out of HRE players that go for the Castle Age rush. But let's see how this one's going to play out, because it's going to be Kelazor versus Sho. And the reason I thought this would be an awesome one to watch is that both of these players are ruse specialists. Kelazor's most played Civ is by far his ruse. But now that he's playing on his Smurf, he's looking to mix it up, right? In the red, he'll be playing as HRE, and it is going to be on Hill and Dale. And look at this opening. This is a fantastic opening for him. Blocked in the center already. Only has to worry about two sides that he can wall up. And as we know, HRE players, where they tend to look phenomenal, where they tend to look more powerful, are in maps like Confluence, Hill and Dale. These maps that actually have clear, definable, and controllable choke points, that's where they accelerate. So I'm going to be excited to see if he can actually achieve it here. As HRE, although they may look very underwhelming, we have seen certain specialists, mainly Iguz comes to mind, Hart, Matisse as well, find ways of actually utilizing this Civ against the more aggressive and potent and overwhelming Civs on the current meta, which is those of Rus, Mongols, and the Chinese. One of which is going to be seen here. As we said, Sho has been grinding the crap out of the Rus. Definitely cheeses his way with a lot of victories. You know, he's somewhat of a horse archer spammer. And horse archers actually are quite good against most of what HRE do, keep in mind. Even more so with the impeding Springwood nerf, because like that was your one solution to horse archers. You don't like building into range units yourself. So outside of going like cavalry, like going hard into horsemen, you don't really have a player as HRE against the horse archers. But as we've seen before, especially usually from Chinese players up against Rus, going for the horsemen is actually an amazing solution to the horse archers. And I hope that we do see that at Kelazor. I think that's the way he could potentially win this. Is actually, maybe don't even look for that hyper late timing. Like as soon as you hit Castle Age, just start spamming out the horsemen. Because although it is a weaker than was strategy, it's still pretty potent for the HRE player to do, right? You can do that trip, quadruple, stable drop. And yes, it is possible for you to actually be able to afford knights. But I think if your opponent does go horse archers, knights are less valuable just because they move at the same speed and it can take ages to actually chase them down. So opener-wise, we're going to see a lot of people actually on food already for Sho. Kind of surprised there's not one or two more on wood yet. He's going to start to switch them over slowly as is. I hope he drops a wooden fortress as soon as he can. I think it's very cost-effective with these kind of clusters. Because the cool thing is, because these tree clusters are so close together, you can drop a wooden fortress probably here. I think it should still be in range. And then after you're done with this wood line, you can actually get a value by chaining it into the new wood line, right? So you get, basically, you pay 175 wood to get 20% more value out of not one, but two clusters of trees. But I can't give you the exact number of trees, because for some reason in this game, we decided that it was very, very, very important that we have all these larch and spruce trees with different names for different assets. Don't ask me why. I'm pretty sure they could have achieved similar just by having like, they all would be named the same. They're the same object, but then when they like spawn, they choose from a roster of different assets. But overall, they're just all referred to as the same tree. Because there's actually no different types of tree in Age of Empires 4, right? Like they're all worth 150. They all cut the same rate. If there was something like, oh, there's big oak trees worth double the wood, I'd understand. Which maybe that's something they plan to do down the line. That would kind of be cool, actually. Straggler trees that in the middle of the map that are worth like double, triple the wood. Crazy ideas, I know. Golden Gate already been built. Arkan Chapel halfway underway. Remember, Kelazor's going to get the huge booster when that is done. Has got a few people working on the wood line. This is more or less to prep to wall himself in more than anything else, I think. Actually, I don't even think there's a rush to wall yourself in if you're HRE in this matchup. You're playing against Rus. Rus don't rush early, which always just confuses me because they have 3 letters of the 4 required to spell rush. You'd think it's kind of in their blood, right? But no, usually we just see the Golden Gate, and then we see them kind of tank up, eco boom, and then go immediately into Castle Age for that like 8-9 minute timing. And keep in mind that actually, if you do that against HRE, HRE can beat you to the punchline. HRE are capable of actually eco-booming quicker than you are as the Rus. Even when you consider that Rus have the benefits of the bounty system as well as the Golden Gate trade. Which, by the way, bounty so far going pretty well for Kelazor. Looks like, or Zhou rather, it looks like Kelazor denied him 2 loads of deer. But he still managed to find 325, right? So once you get past that 250 mark, you get that 10% increase gathering rate on food, as well as these hunting cabins generating food, gold a little bit more regularly. And it's very important, like that small difference can matter of the hunt cabins, especially if you choose to opt to go 1, 2, maybe 3 of them. Reason is because it also benefits, like, you know, your Treacle. You want to keep everyone off of the gold and onto the food and wood, which means if you're actually getting surplus from hunting cabins, then you can always afford your tech ups. And also, if you start to spam these out, you actually open up the option of putting a small stable force down of like knights to support your horse archer army, which I'm always a fan of. And yeah, we are going to see the hunting cabins getting dropped. I like this from Sio. I think this is a good map to do on. We just said that HRE out-ecos you, and the way you kind of make up for that is you probably can't out-eco them in the first 10 minutes, but with enough hunting cabins, you can out-eco them later. I'm just not sure if there's enough wood lines, the amount required. Like I said, I do want to see him get quickly into presence, as in being present, because keep in mind your opponent, you can't let him get 3 of these relics. The deal breaker always when dealing with HRE is you have to contest them on at least their 2nd relic and 3rd. 1 is almost always going to happen. Usually you can't avoid that, especially with this one located on Kelazor's high ground. But everything in the Midlands, everything in No Man's Land needs to be contested. Like, if you're going to allow Kelazor to get it, he better be paying a price. So, scouts being spammed out from both of them. Remember, HRE, they don't have any rapido way of getting scouts out. It's just the generalist rate. So it takes 20 seconds each. Whereas Kelazor, he's only got, what, 4 in the field? Has he actually got 4 in the field? No. He's already getting yoinked, though. This is the problem. He's got the professional scouts, but he's beaten to the punchline. And this is what I was about to say. Shio has the advantage here, because Shio has 4, and Kelazor has 4 now, but they weren't in position, right? Like, he was just spawning them, or they were just moving out. Or we're being lied to, actually. I'm pretty sure for HRE, for some wild reason, folks, the prelate does actually count as a military unit, even though it has literally no military capabilities. I mean, I guess if you hold a relic, in fairness, you do. But, yeah. So if you ever get confused by that count, that's why. So Kelazor, can't get pop caps soon to fix that. Is that 2nd stable being dropped? No, just the house. Yeah, I'm not surprised he's not going to 2nd stable yet. Problem is he's behind, right? Shio's going to beat him to the punchline on the castle age timing. And part of it is going to be due to the food, right? He's at least got his corpses nearby, so he should be able to boost himself now. But he initially sent his scouts out here, right? So they weren't returning carcasses straight away, which kind of stunned him a little bit. And you can see his Shio now ready to begin the construction. 5 people working on it. Kelazor now has the required amount as well. He actually had surplus gold. Way too many people on the gold line, in my opinion. Needed more on the food, but now he's going to go for that boom into the Regnant's Cathedral. If anything, you want more prelates, I think. You've only got, what, 1 prelate out right now? With what you're up against, I think you need to be in position to pick up these relics already. I would genuinely sacrifice like this gathering at the moment, send the prelate out to this one in the middle, and then build another prelate inside. You see, now he's queuing prelates. But I think, like, if you want to talk optimal play, folks, this is what you do. Your prelate begins constructing, pull this one out, because remember, the prelate inspiration buff lasts 30 seconds. So there's no reason, there's absolutely no reason to keep this prelate banked in here once you start producing one in the TC. You actually have a surplus time of over 10 seconds, right? So optimally, when you're halfway through that last villager is producing, this prelate should have been running for the middle. It's small efficiencies, but actually it's a big deal when you think about it. When you think how slow prelates move, when you know your opponent has got you on the clock and he's going for his own castle age timing, it's the difference between getting an extra relic uncontested and actually potentially just being sniped out every time you come out here. And then remember, every time you attempt to come and get this and get sniped out, that costs you 100 gold. So there you go. Both of them, about 840 on the castle age timing. Prelate running out now. No, 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 no. Kelazor. Oh, no. He's going for the safe one. This could get punished because there are horse archers being produced. And Shio has fully scouted the land. So he has to suspect his opponent. Like, he's got a scout in the center. He doesn't see this one being moved on to. He's going to play to the northern ones. So I expect the horse archers to move straight out there. We'll see, though. Currently, they're just standing still. So I think Kelazor maybe gets away with this. I don't think he's going to be able to get a 3rd, though. I do think maybe Shio could have contested on the 2nd. I've seen Shio play Roos versus HRE, and I got to say, usually he's a little bit tighter on these, these timings of like guarding the relics. So it's kind of a shame that he lets this go down like this. But it means we'll get a more interesting matchup, if nothing else. Wouldn't it be nice to watch Roos actually lose, guys? Against HRE? Wow. That never happens. And yeah, Kelzor, because he's already gathering up the gold from the vein and he's starting to bank these relics, he's able to afford knights already out of 2 stables. I think he actually needs to up his production. I think he can go to 3 stables easily. He agrees he can go to 3 something. He's going to go for a 3rd military build. It's going to be an archery range. And this is cool. Like, we said that it feels wonky going into the archery range as HRE because you don't feel like you're playing your strength. But you have to in this game. In this matchup, I don't see any other way but engaging on the archer front. And I'm expecting it to just be the cheap archers against the horse archers. He could opt for the cross moment, which is also a good prep in case your opponent goes to the knights and covers you on both fronts. Let's see how he plays it. Villager just trying to wall in now, so realizing that his opponent is in castle age, this is when you wall. There's no rush before this point because your opponent is going to be in your base, right? Yeah, no one banked, and there you go. Now he's going to guard it. And Xio, remember, he's playing the other Civ that picks up these relics early. And that's whether you feel the pain, right? Because one of these has already been banked, the other central one's gone, and then the other one's behind. Now, keep in mind that Kelzor gets more value out of this, because remember, each of those relics is worth an extra 200%, so he's getting 300 gold per minute. Which means overall, he's going to be getting 600, Xio's going to be getting 300. But this is your big boon, right? Like, you're trying to play around that power spike. So it is frustrating to not get your 3rd, but 2 is acceptable. I think if you can at least get 2, you're in a very, very comfortable position as an HRE player. And then also, you know, before anyone goes, oh yeah, but when you play the Rus, you get like the 20% extra drop-off from the wood, and you get like the economy from the Golden Gate, and you've got the gather rate increase because he's got the bounty unlocks, and then you're ticking all these things, but all I'm hearing in my mind is the noise of "Ah," as the HRE inspires all the workers, right? These workers that gather 40% quicker, and they drop off an extra 40% because they got up to 14. So yeah, always keep that in mind. Never underestimate it. It is ridiculously powerful when utilized correctly. And it means from an economy standpoint, Kelzor's ahead. And that's why Xio goes to cap these sites. These sites actually will put him in a better position because it's much easier for him to come cap than it is for Kelzor. Kelzor, every time he attempts this, 100 gold, slow-moving unit. Every time Xio attempts this, 100 gold plus 20 food, rapid unit. Keep in mind there's a big difference in generation times you can see as well, though. 20 seconds for a prelate, 45 seconds for the warrior monk. I think this is what they had in mind as the balance point when they came up with this concept of like a fast-moving religious unit. Is that, yeah, it's more tanky, yeah, it can attack, you know, yeah, it can do all left, right, and center, gives a Saint's Blessing, all these things are amazing, but you guys can't field them as quickly. And sometimes I question whether that's a good enough reasoning. So we talked about how horsemen would be better here, and we're about to witness it. The knights charge out, and one of them's already dead. This is why I didn't want to see Kelzor spamming too many knights. I wanted to see him getting some horsemen. We'll have to see if he makes the switch, because I don't think you can rely on the knights to save you here. Especially when you see your opponent isn't pivoting, right? Xio is doing that typical stubborn thing we see Rus players do. It's literally solely horse archers. Yes, there's some scouts here, but they were just remainders from the beginning of the game. So if you are now playing as the HRE player, you should be upgrading to vet on the horseman, right? And then getting horsemen out from probably 3, maybe 4 stables. Now, that can be dangerous just because there's going to be a limiting factor for him, which is if he's stuck on the hill for a long time in Hillendale, then he's going to run out of farmland with the way he's building. But I think you have to play for that timing to pressure your opponent, right? You can't let Xio get control of all these sacred sites like this. It's going to lose you the game. Looks like he will be able to cheekily decap this at least. And yeah, Scout's just trying to stop the cap over here, but it wouldn't make a difference. I'm pretty sure a Warrior Monk, without the assistance of the Scout, will beat out 2 Scouts. Someone's going to actually link a video and go, no, actually, the Scouts live with 1 health. But I don't think so. I think you just get poopy pummeled here. Even if the Scout wasn't here with his juiced up extra 2 damage per strike, not to mention the bonus damage. So, won't be able to stop him here. Xio now in control of all of the sacred sites. Looks like Kelzor is moving the knight contingent out. And I like this, right? He's identified that Xio's on the south side of the map. He can't react, so he'll be able to at least decap this. But he needs an actual solution, right? So far, I haven't seen the solution. And this could be it. Kelzor doing what we always see. Pre-15 minutes going straight into the Imp Age with the Palace of Swabia. But what is the play off the back of this is what I'm curious to. I think it has to be Horseman. I think genuinely you should be going Vet Horseman into Elite Horseman. An Elite Horseman will completely destroy Horse Archers, folks. Remember, they have more movement speed than Horse Archers, and because Horse Archers are considered a ranged unit, they get bonus damage versus those Horse Archers. So other cool thing that this allows Kelzor to do, and why Palace of Swabia is amazing in the current build-up for HRE, is HRE, in the first 2 weeks, a lot of players were trying for double trip TCs. Then a lot of them realize it's actually not good. What you want to do is you want to rush Palace of Swabia, because otherwise your alternative is just getting a keep that has no greater value. What Palace of Swabia does for you in this situation instead is it allows you to now get up to the economy scaling of 2 free TCs that your opponent might have at the 20-minute mark, because the Palace of Swabia produces these villages in a quarter at the time and a quarter at the cost, right? So you can see already right there, 5 seconds, 12 food, compared to the 50 food, 20 seconds. In fact, it's even better, guys. It's 12 food instead of 50, right? That's not even a 75% saving. That's like a 77% saving. Hey, there you go. Numbers. And now, Show holding the midfield. Kel's on the clock. But now there's an Imperial Age. His opponent is nowhere near ready. Show doing that typical thing we always see. Gold being hoarded by the Roost player, but food is, honestly, it's more appropriate for Roost. It's like the people are starving. He needs to actually find a way of either teching up, or he needs to start hunkering down with keeps on these locations. Because the worry you have now is Kelzor, he can amass whatever he wants, and it's going to be archers. He's going straight in for elite archers. Which, remember what we said, elite archers, not a bad solution up against the scouts, right? Oh, the horse archers. The thing I was checking for, by the way, I'm pretty sure that they don't get the bonus damage. I just want to clarify it for you guys because it's very deceptive. So, because when you look, it says light melee infantry. But obviously these aren't infantry. It's only against spearmen. I don't know why they don't just specify spearmen. I can't think of another unit they get the bonus damage against. It's probably one I'm forgetting. This is breezing over my head. Yeah, these will be a good solution because they're more cost effective, right? It's the 30 food, 50 wood compared to the 80 food and 40 wood. So 2 versus 1, right, is how you have to think about it. And not that much more health for the horse archers, almost the same damage as well. And keep in mind that, by the way, he went for the techs. Sho did not. Sho made a big mistake in this. So I believe he got all the aggressive techs. He hasn't got any of the defensive techs. Because why would he, right? He hasn't seen his opponent at all yet. Build into range units, right? So when we look at Sho, he's now getting his hands on the Steeled Arrow, hasn't bothered with Iron Undermesh, hasn't even queued it. And when we look across at Kelazor already getting his level 2s here. Archer army keeps getting bigger. He knows he has to go soon, and that's why I like he drops Siege Workshops as well. When you get out, when you strike, you want to strike hard. You have to know your opponent never stopped building horse archers, right? So you're dealing with a big force. Mangonels could genuinely be the play. But I love this play out of Sho. He's palisading them in. He understands that, okay, my opponent's Imperial. I can't hit Imperial. I have to keep generating units right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that he can't insta-decap these sites, which will force him into an uncomfortable situation where he might take a fight that he'd otherwise wait around if he got a decap, right? And I expect him to do this with all the sites. It's very important that he does. Keep dropping this side. That's good enough. And then Central 1 already has a keep. So yeah. Only reason he hasn't put a keep up here is Sho doesn't have the stone income right now. Otherwise, he would have dropped it. He could have traded for it, though. He has 2k gold. Kind of surprised he didn't opt to do that. But it's a fragile state, right? I think his resources are needed elsewhere. You can see he started to switch over to farms. He needs to keep that generation going. And moving out. That's too late. Sho hasn't walled it in. Oh, no. Not like this. The knight chasing in. Decap's going to occur on the zone. He's starting to move his army, but they're not going to be quick enough to stop the decap here. And the archers, they can keep trickling out. I think, yeah, he's just going to leave one here. He doesn't want to risk the whole contingent, right? He understands that if the enemy has been building horse archers the whole time, which he doesn't know because he hasn't been able to scout out, then he's going to have too many troops. Now, this is going to be tight, but I think he maybe just gets the decap in time. Yes, Sho's going to be too late. Oh, it's going to be so tight. Oh my god, he gets on it! The last tick! So he keeps the Sacred Site victory condition alive. Kelazor, no real way he could have played that otherwise. He had to do what he done. He had to abandon that stick 1 on there because, of course, the moment that one unit steps on top of it, it's going to delay the cap. It's going to hold it. Meanwhile, this one knight finding maximum value in his elite status as he snipes out these villies so fast. 2 strikes is all it takes. Let's see some horse archers amassing. So movement out, Kelazor. 42 archers to the 64 horse archers, still not enough. But he knows he has to go soon. He really needs to get Mangonels out. And there you go. He's building into it now and also researching the adjustable crowbars or crossbars. Adjustable crowbars would be a very different thing. Like, do people even have crowbars back at this age? Maybe like a version of crowbars, but not our version. Not the painted red Half-Life version. If they did, then honestly, our ancestors were more badass than us. Up to 56. You can see he's just starting to generate archers quicker than the horse archers, right? Like, it's naturally going to happen. Like, archers take 15, horse archers, as you can see, take 22. There's still no transition out of Yo. Still not saving up either. They're going to engage. And, you know, I don't blame Kelazor. He has to start doing something soon. The problem is he's just outnumbered here. The scouts as well. The spam that has come out from Sho. He actually produced up to 15 scouts here because he realized he was up against the archers. However, the Mangonels, they bait them in. Nice splash. Need to be careful. The next shot could do a lot of damage here. Saint's Blessing does go off. And Sho going to retreat. The true enemy of the horse archer army, wolves. Needs to be careful now. 3 or 4 Mangonels, and that's going to be your entire battalion of horse archers gone. And this is where things get fragile for Sho. Remember, it takes 10 minutes to trigger. He's had control of this for, what, 4 or 5 minutes? Maybe longer. God, I wish I had that Sacred Site timer. That means Kelazor has a little bit more time. Now building the university. So going to up the damage coming out from those archers. Those archers that have been building up at a great rate. 65 now. In the meantime, Sho trying to repair the damage done to his army. Around the 70 mark with the horse archers. Always having to run away now. Scared of that Mangonel. Archers baiting him a little bit. Remember, these archers move at superior speed to normal ones. 1.38 due to the unique research the HRE have. And this is how you can utilize archers, by the way. A lot of people say they don't like building them to them. That there's nothing unique for HRE. There is this one thing. Movement speed. Movement speed that can make a big difference on what can usually be considered a very static unit. And chase into the fog. Into the tree line. Sho split into 2 groups. Mangonel splashing decent damage onto him right now. Gonna back up. Nice fire onto the main contingent. Heavy damage done here. Kelazor holding his own. More of his archers coming out. Second Mangonel in the mix, and Sho's gonna lose the main battalion. Over half his have been wiped out, down to about 30. Meanwhile, Kelazor now having more archers than his opponent. But there has been a keep drop. And this becomes slightly perplexing now for Kelazor. Kelazor needs to get himself into a bombard or a treb, and he needs to do it now. And I don't think no, he hasn't scouted this. He doesn't see the keep yet, but he's going to move in for the decap. And Sho, he'll have to cannon fodder to keep this alive. The problem is the keep is not in location, right? Because of the palisade wall, he couldn't get it closer, which means he can't actually protect the sacred site via the keep. And that means he has to fight. And he's clustered again, and the Mangonel in with a shot. Heavy damage again! And now he's fully outnumbered. And Sho, he's looking desperate. What do you do against this right now? Other than surrender your sacred site. And if you surrender your sacred site, you might as well surrender the game. Because remember, Sho, he was in for the penny, in for the pound, in for the whole bank account here. As he never went for the Imperial Age. So he doesn't have Streltsy. He doesn't have superior knights that can actually run his opponent through. He has nothing but horse archers to commit here. The scary point's being realized. Kelazor, so patient, but when he strikes out true. And Sho gonna struggle to even rebuild this army quick enough, I think. Wow. Fire arrows research. He says that's good enough. Goes in for the keep. Forces the engagement with the horse archers, and they just get disintegrated. Nothing they can do now. These elite archers, 13 damage compared to the 14 of the horse archers. They're not even trading effectively in a one-on-one engagement anymore. Yes, it says they have a superior attack speed, but if I recall correctly as well, the other thing is that these are bugged slightly, so those attack speeds aren't true. I think the horse archers, if I'm not mistaken, are closer to 1.5 than 2. So they're not even having an attack speed buff. They're having nothing in their favor. And with the bombard out now, Sho's going to lose the keep. And he could easily lose this game at this rate. You can see the expansion coming out as well. So Kelazor running out of resources in his base, but he times this advance into the center of the map perfectly so that he can start to expand his eco lines here. He's not going to run out of resources anytime soon, and that was Sho's one hope. A hope that he will never see become a reality. All this effort invested into the sacred sites, just looking like it counts for nothing now. They keep falling. They'll plow forward. One bombard, 3 mangonels, and this many archers. If your solution is still only horse archers, your solution is dead on arrival, my friend. And yeah, Kelazor now just prepping for a situation where he can start to drop aggressive keeps if need be as well. Don't blame him in this situation. Give yourself a foothold in Sio's base, never have to leave. Treacle in a horse archer is going to be punished once more. And I've really just got to give so much credit the way Kelazor played this. Sio just once again falling privy to the trap we see so often here, where these players simply play for horse archers and have no backup plan. They're so heavily invested, they don't diversify early, and by the time that they could, they feel like they can simply win based on the Zerg numbers. But as we're seeing, after the buffs to Mangonels and the impeding nerfs are on their way for Springles, or impending rather, nerfs on their way for Springles, Mangonels are going to have a pivotal role in shutting out the Rus horse archer rush. And we're seeing it play out right before our very eyes. And this night switch is way too late. They're still early nights, by the way. He's starting to build the infrastructure, but this is going to be too late. Elite Archers is good enough to take down a Night Treacle. Yeah, keeps of his own. Says, I'll never be threatened like that again. You'll never hold me hostage to a sacred site victory. I'm the HRE. I'm the religious figure in this game. And don't you damn well forget it. Just a few knights. Not going to be good enough. Still too many of these archers, and this is done. Sio, great attempt around the sacred site. Tried to apply the pressure. Maybe if it was 8 minutes instead of 10, he'd be better off, but 10 minutes is too long to hold against HRE, especially when they boom up to the Imperial Age like Kelazor did.